Panelist is Julian Vasquez Heilig. And Julian, I'd like to ask you to talk with us about this question. Are Latinos and African Americans destined to be allies or rivals in educational policies such as school finance, choice, testing, and standards?
Thank you, Dr. King, President King. I'm Julian Vasquez Heilig. I'm from Cal State, Sacramento. I'm a professor of educational leadership and policy studies, and I direct the doctorate in educational leadership there. I also blog at Cloaking Inequity, which is a blog that focuses on education, public policy, and race. And you'll find a draft of my comments from this talk there. Please also tweet at me at Professor JVH. Let me start by telling you a story about Black and Brown collaboration in Texas. When I first moved to Texas in 1999, I was heavily involved with grassroots politics with the Tejano Democrats. I also volunteered in the local district office of Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee and had worked on redistricting maps. When the Democratic Convention came around, it was suggested that I apply to be a delegate for the 2000 Democratic National Convention. As you probably know, the Democratic Party has quotas for the National Convention to ensure a diverse delegation based on a variety of categories, including youth, race, ethnicity, elected officials, etc. It was a day-long process that began with a questionnaire and concluded by giving a speech in front of the selection committee. By the end of the day, all the delegate slots had been filled except for one. The slot was reserved for a Black male. The committee conferred and then asked how I could be eligible for a Black delegate slot since I had checked Latino on the information sheet. I told them that Latino was an ethnicity and it was because there was no box for Blacks again. The Blacks and Latinos on the committee conferred. I was elected the final Texas delegate for the Los Angeles Convention. So my parents were first involved with the Black-Latino collaboration, and now the committee had done so too. Is there a Black and Brown divide? Are they allies or foes? I, as an academic, could pontificate on whether I perceive a divide, but I thought it'd be more interesting for you to hear directly from Latino and Black policymakers and representatives from civil rights organizations. Over the years, I've developed working relationships with Latino and African American policymakers in several states, so I reached out this week to them via text and Facebook. 4 states, 2 of them having the largest population of Latinos, and 2 of them are Western states. Resoundingly, all of the policymakers and civil rights organizations representatives said that Latinos and Blacks are allies. However, as you will see, there are some challenges. A representative of a prominent civil rights organization commented, "I definitely think we could be allies. I think we share a lot of common objectives." An attorney for a prominent national Latino civil rights organization relayed, and I backed out the names of the organizations in the states to protect their identity. African American Civil Rights Organization and Latino Civil Rights Organization have testified together in our state many times in support of equalized school finance, more rigorous and college-ready standards and preparation, against high-stakes testing and vouchers. The same can be said of our national policies. A state-level official from a prominent Black civil rights organization commented, "We are allies. I work with groups all the time on education policy. We work together and see eye to eye on these issues. The issues that affect Latinos have the same impact on Black kids because we tend to be in the same neighborhoods, if not living in the same communities. There's always those who will try to stop the collaboration by reaching out to those who may not understand the issues, but are willing to attempt to be the face of Black and Brown people." I could think of some folks right off the top of my head. We tried stopping that from happening by staying active with our working relationships and building strong partnerships. Also by continuing to have a unified presence on these issues, especially when testifying. We, Latino and Black civil rights organizations, agree on state choice, funding, testing, and standards. They may focus more on ELLs, understandably so, but we agree that what being defined as choice is wrong and isn't choice. National board member from a large civil rights organization, Black civil rights organization, I think allies in education. Now the critique is starting to begin. I have greater concern for divisions in some other areas. We have split with the Latino civil rights organizations on redistricting, but have had a great ally there in another Latino civil rights organization. Latino civil rights organization also brought our state changes that were harmful to African Americans on school finance testing, but we've agreed on testing and choice. We've been quite united with them. A Latino civil rights organization supported the parent trigger bill recently, but their lobbyist is a good guy and simply made a mistake. Our organization and the other Latino organization both opposed it. A Latino legislator said, "I think we can be allies depending on the policy how the policy is written and strategy. This was perhaps borne out in the most stinging critique of the Brown-Black Alliance from a state-level policy advisor. We always strive to be allies. They do until whites say choose. African Americans come to the table and bring Latinos, who then contact the whites we had at the table for a side conversation for an alliance to make a deal. The policy advisor went through several examples of how interest in the community had diverged. They discussed how Black legislators had supported a dual language approach in the state. It was the perspective of the policy advisor that the Latino legislators did a turnabout on the issue and pressed instead for bilingual because Black kids had begun to benefit from the dual language approach. The policy advisor also mentioned that the Catholic lobby had been supportive of vouchers for their schools and was requesting that the Latino legislators support the voucher push. The policy advisor also posited that African Americans still sometimes lead the fight. We, as Latinos, don't need to do anything. Let the African Americans lead the fight, and then we will enjoy some spoils because the Republican leadership won't be mad at us because we did not fight them. Perhaps not every state is contentious as this one. A Latino legislator commented, based on the general positive experience I've had with education advocates of color, at least in our state, we try to steer clear of the fighting for the crumbs and conquer and divide mentality. There's only one person in our state that I know of that tries to stir the Latino versus Black pot and say that Latinos are getting more resources than Black kids. But people know she's divisive and generally awful to work with. In conclusion, our civil rights leaders laid the foundation for the Brown-Black Alliance. Arturo S. Rodriguez, president of the United Farm Workers, recently wrote, "If there's one lesson we learned from Dr. King, it's that a struggle for civil rights is indivisible." Martin Luther King famously weighed in on the Black-Brown and the fight for equality in his telegram to Cesar Chavez in September 1966. "As brothers in the fight for equality, I extend the hand of fellowship and goodwill and wish continuing success to you and your members. You and your valiant fellow workers have demonstrated your commitment to righting grievous wrongs forced upon exploited people. We are together with you in spirit and in determination that our dreams for a better tomorrow will be realized," and I'll add, together. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. We're going to continue. I hope that you value the insights, the nuggets that